VC. Today I want to talk about my explorations into the Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs recordings. I had just watched a video by Brandon, Mr. Hall of Fame, and he had picked up a couple MoFi titles, one of them being Carole King, and I left a comment about describing the differences between the different types. Most of the information about MoFi is out there, but I'm going to try and hit some of it as I'm going through a few records. So the first record that really got me into MoFi was this guy here, which is no longer in print and it's highly sought out by a number of folks. I picked this up right when it came out. It was right when I was getting right back into vinyl. This is one of my favorite albums of all time, especially by Beck. It's really kind of sad that this is no longer in print, but you know, if you haven't heard it, I recommend it. I think that this is probably one of the best albums from his catalog. It's very retrospective. It's about breakup. It's a little bit different from Mellow Gold and Odelay. Very relaxed instrumentation. But this is nice gatefold. It was released on vinyl originally when it came out, and I've never seen a copy, so I don't have anything to compare it to. But this is fantastic. So to go into MoFi a little bit, so they've actually been around for a long time, but as a label doing audiophile type recordings, they didn't kick off until about 1977, and the first album that they kicked out was a Mystic Moods album. And after 4 or 5 Mystic Moods releases, they started to release a lot of folk rock and pop rock titles. One of the ones I was fortunate enough to pick up was Gordon Lightfoot. This is one of the earlier releases. One of the interesting things about MoFi is that you can tell the number of the release on the spine. This happens to be the 18th release. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. Early releases, the font was not italicized. So you know you got a true original pressing if your font is not italicized for the very early ones. When they got to the latter one, the font was italicized. Early on, before 1990, when they were pressing, doing vinyl releases, they were not limited. So you had no idea, and they'd actually press up new ones as the years went by. And I'll kind of show you an example of one. But one of the nice things about MoFi is they all, even from the very beginning, they all had these very nice inner cardboard items that would go around the record. They would put in some advertisements. They were the first to use paper sleeves. This is not the original. I changed it out. And the early releases were pressed on super vinyl, which was proprietary in Japan. Super vinyl is a little more resistant to wear or needle wear, so it's going to last a lot longer. Also, the Japanese pressings are, as most people know, are highly sought out after because they are super quiet. They have a very low noise floor. So all the early MoFi releases in the 70s and the 80s were actually pressed in Japan. Now, one that is familiar to a lot of folks is Pink Floyd. So this one was one of the first items, or the first albums released by MoFi. This one was the 17th release by MoFi. This, however, was not an original pressing. So, how you can tell, I got the italicized font here. And I think this comes from the A4, D4 stampers, but it's a lot of pressing. It sounds great. There's a lot of debate on what version of Floyd sounds the best. There's some people that are, yeah, MoFi is the best, and there's folks that say, no, the original UK is the best. But you know, given what I have, yeah, this sounds really good. Here's one for Mr. Paniques. So Led Zeppelin 2. This is the only Led Zeppelin album that they did. They did it around 81, 82, I think. So MoFi. Does it sound the best? In a lot of instances, yeah. Some of the recordings are the best. In other instances, I recommend you do your research. Like this one, for example, a lot of people are going to tell you that a Robert Ludwig pressing of this album, you'll see RL in the Dead Wax, is the best pressing of this album. I have a couple of Robert Ludwig. One is just totally trashed to hell. I like it. I also like the Classic Records pressing that was done by Bernie Grundman on an all-analog system. But this is not too bad. It's good. Mobile Fidelity managed to acquire the rights to the Rolling Stones, Frank Sinatra, and the Beatles. So they did huge box sets for Sinatra, Beatles, and the Stones. And to get those box sets, you have to pay for a lot of money right now. I happen to have a couple of the Beatles ones, so I got Sgt. Pepper and Abbey Road. Again, really nice quality. Gatefold. Of course, they got their cardboard inner with advertisements for MoFi, of course. Of course, the label is not on the Apple label. The early pressings, it was usually very generic. This generic white. Even the releases that they do today, it's more of their own label. It's not paying homage to the original label. The Beatles MoFi pressings, they don't. Again, this is a case where they don't get the greatest reviews. They're good. Some folks think they're a little bit treble heavy, not enough bass, at least what I've read. But to me they sound good. I honestly think the current Monomasters are at least the best sounding versions that I have. When you got into the 90s, they did a lot of Anadisc release, so they were pressed in the United States, and they were done on 200 gram vinyl. That's when they really kicked off the limited series, and they did that up until about 96, and Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nevermind, was one of the last albums that they did on the Anadisc series. If you can find an Anadisc, yeah, those things are really sought after. And go check out Bobby Z's channel, because Bobby Z has a number of those. I do not have a single Anadisc in my collection. I did start to pick them up in the 2000 period, so they got the rights to the Lennon catalog, which they've now lost. So when they were doing all the anniversary issues for Lennon, you saw MoFi stop pressing these guys. So if you can find a Lennon copy of a MoFi, it's great. In the late 90s, the company went out of business. They were based out of Los Angeles at the time. Music Direct out of Chicago bought them. And so they kicked off doing the vinyl again. They were doing all their pressings at RTI, all on 180 gram vinyl. Very nice. I've never had a problem with any of the MoFi pressings. They've all come out flat. I think they spent a lot of time QCing these guys. You'll have a couple of people that master the vinyl too. You'll see KW in the Dead Wax on a lot of them, and that's Krieg Wunderlich, a nice German name. And the nice thing about the mastering engineers for MoFi is that, you know, they're not out there just putting out product. They spend a lot of time with mastering, at least in the current releases, and I think that's the job that they're doing and the technology they're using is just phenomenal. I can really hear the job that they're putting into it. Some of the ones that have been shown by a few folks are the Dylan series. Now, they got the rights to do all the Dylan catalog. What's interesting about the Dylan catalog is they could not get all the master tapes. So you're going to see different labeling here up on top based on whether or not they got the master tape or not. Now, with all of them though, they're doing them all on heavy jackets. And they're doing a very interesting mix of, sorry about that, they're doing an interesting mix of 33 1/3 and 45 RPM pressings. And so this is 45 RPM. And again, another shot here of the label. It's good stuff. All the stuff that is coming out since the move to Chicago has all been limited. So this is number 766. Brandon, Mr. Hall of Fame, was asking about the silver label. So the silver label, just to show you an example, is usually done on a lower weight vinyl, and the packaging, at least the earlier ones, some of them it's been a mix, but some of the earlier ones it's just been on this cheap cardboard cover. But again, using the same mastering engineers, the same technology. Don't have the master tapes, but they're trying to find the best possible source. This one is Yaz. I wish I had our original to compare it to. You'll hear mixed reviews on the Silver Label series, but the ones that I have I like. I know that they are not they're not screwing around with compression, the dynamics there. MoFi, since the beginning, they've used half-speed mastering, which when you use half-speed mastering, you get a more accurate cut into the lacquer. And you know, it pays to do that because the sonics are so much better, the dynamics are so much better. Here's another example of the Silver Label in excess. When you got into the 80s, a lot of the masters were done digitally, so they tried to do the best they could with a digital source. They did Dire Straits just recently, only on Super Audio CD, and haven't heard it. But again, given the technology at the time, they're trying to use an old digital master and try and extract as much information as possible out of it. Going back to Dylan though, so here's another one. So this, in truth, would be on the Silver Label, but it's not. They couldn't get the master tapes, but this is a 45 RPM. I haven't been able to play this yet since I lost my phono preamp, and I've been curious to see how it sounds, but everything that I've heard is it's really good, but I want to check it out for myself. Mobile Fidelity, when you got into the 80s, they were doing CDs, and so the CD releases come in this really nice lock case. Robert Z has shown this a couple times. All of them are on gold foil. The reason why they put them on gold foil is with aluminum you get some oxidation, and you know, some folks will say you get a better read out of gold. I don't know if I believe it, but this is what one of the earlier CDs have looked like. Now today they've abandoned CDs and they are strictly doing Super Audio CDs, or I should say hybrid Super Audio CDs, so you get a CD layer and a Super Audio CD layer. What's interesting about these is sometimes they'll release vinyl and the Super Audio CD, but the mastering engineers are different. And the super hardcore guys will go out and buy both and compare both versions. Unfortunately, I'm not that excessive, but I do have a couple examples. So I got the Beach Boys Pet Sounds, which I was hoping that they do a vinyl version of this, but they lost the rights and now you can't find it anymore. Here's another one, Marvin Gaye. These are all limited, just like the albums. They come in a nice little jacket, gatefold, heavy cardboard stock cover, and limited. So that's really what I have to show today. I got a bunch of other pieces, but I didn't want to make the video too long. But MoFi stuff is, in general, really good, but my recommendation, if you can, is read the reviews when they do come out to see if it's worthwhile. Sometimes an original pressing might be better than a MoFi pressing, but they really put out a great package, and what I bought, I've really liked. So hopefully people have enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you got comments, if I said something wrong, please shoot me a comment down below. Thanks.